Friends and subscribers, this is China News for August 2012. What's happening in the Big Red? Well, in the past month there's been a lot in the news over some anger surrounding some island chains, particularly the Diaoyu Islands near Japan. Anger erupts at Japanese landing. There seems to be an emotional response to an island chain that is not significant, yet may or may not be a tactical play and a natural resource play by the Chinese government. What is odd to a Westerner from a Western perspective is the fact that there could be such an emotional response over island chains that were not in dispute in the previous decades. I think that in some cases the government has done a marvelous job of playing the people's heartstrings and getting them worked up over something that doesn't really affect them in their day-to-day life. The people that do have a higher level of intelligence here understand exactly what it is. It's a resource grab because there is a lot of oil and natural gas in the South China Sea and in other areas off the waters of Chinese territory. Now, whether or not the islands belong to Japan or China or other island chains belong to the Philippines or China, it is of no importance to a Westerner. It's a dispute that's between the two nations or three nations or more that are involved in the territories. Well, what is peculiar again is that suddenly these things are becoming more important than they should be, and a focus on them is greater than they were in the past. So we're going to see a lot more of this. We're going to see a lot more of nationalistic, if not eventually imperialistic, aims of China to grab more territory and to push out the boundaries of what was a amicable and peaceful situation surrounding these waters. And speaking of natural resources, rare earth quotas change very little so far this year. As we see in this graphic here, 2009, 43,900 metric tons of rare earth materials were exported, and then that dropped off in 2010. 2011, only 18,600 metric tons of rare earth minerals were exported. So far this year, we've only got 9,770 metric tons of rare earth materials exported. So this is leveling off, and they're really hoarding these natural resources. And Bao Steel, which is a huge company in China, they make more than just construction material. They're the primary player in this. The first 7 months of this year, the exports of rare earth materials have fallen significantly. Now, what does this mean? It means that, as it's written here, rampant smuggling is considered the major reasons for the decline in exports. You can take that however you'd like, but basically what this is going to do is this is going to create a resource grab in other parts of the world that have rare earth materials. As we know, China has the majority of rare earth materials, and they've changed their policy on that. So we could see a black market in rare earth materials, which are required for manufactured finished goods and, of course, military hardware. It's very key. In the economy here, manufacturing's dropped to a 9-month low. We expected this, and we can see PMI drops to 47.8, which is its lowest point in several years, and that trend most likely will continue. It does mention in here, which is interesting, that two municipalities, Tianjin and Chongqing, announced an extra 1.5 trillion yuan, that's $236 billion investment stimulus package in industries including energy, petrochemicals, and advanced equipment. We know Chongqing is an IT build-out center, and that's not surprising. Tianjin, I'm not really sure where the majority of that stimulus would go to. I was up there looking around, but wasn't able to do much more than just a basic look. But so the stimulus continues, and it's an ongoing thing. It's perpetual, just like the build out and the construction of roads and transportation hubs and buildings. It's not something that's just going to be temporary. It's perpetual. It's meant to keep people working and to put their resources and their dollars into other places. And this is just not going to change. The stimulus is perpetual, just like in the United States. QE3 is coming, and we all knew that it would, and that means most certainly we will see QE4. Factory activity growth at 8-month low. This is also was not a surprise to those of us that are paying attention. It's a slowdown here. It's not as profound as a slowdown in the West, but it is definitely being felt and should continue to slow down as we deepen in this world financial crisis. Homeward bound, firms mull return to United States or to other locations. In this picture here you see Tim Cook, CEO of Apple, visiting a Foxconn Technology Group facility in Zhengzhou in central China, Henan province. And basically what this is just saying that labor costs are rising for Chinese workers by as much as 16 to 25%, with monthly pay going up. More firms are seeing a move to another Southeast Asia country, to build out, or back home to the United States if costs continue to rise. This is a new trend that we can see probably playing out as the UN grows in its strength, something that I had thought would happen much sooner than it has. It's still at 6.35 to $1 US. It should actually be right around 3 to 1. In the United States, we know about the corn problem and other foodstuffs. Okay, food crisis, they say unlikely to repeat. Well, I beg to differ, because the corn and soybean problem in the United States is going to affect China. Why? Because they use a lot of corn oil and soybean oil for cooking and other products. So this is not only going to affect the consumer in the United States for their foodstuff and fuel, but countries that import U.S. soybeans are going to be affected. And what will happen? Well, in my estimation, basically people are just going to change their eating habits. It's going to be something where in the past Chinese have stopped eating pork in those months where pork was high and returned to eating more pork when the price fell through government subsidies. So we'll keep a close eye on that. As far as the prices here, I'll try to update you on what's going on there. We know about the military-industrial complex, and we know about other such complexes, but what about the education industrial complex? Several prestigious schools in the West are looking to have satellite schools in China, and in some cases they're going to set up a co-op program such as Juilliard School of Music and other prestigious institutions such as that. As you may know, China places a high priority on education, and parents of Chinese students are willing to spend a significantly amount more money than the Western counterparts. So there's an opportunity there for education-based businesses to grow in China as more and more students get higher education in the more developed areas. American flags being made in China. They have been for quite some time, and they still are. The numbers. Well, overall, we can see that the dollar value of imported U.S. flags made in China in the millions. In 2011, 3.6 millions. The average hourly wage of a Chinese worker making these flags and other materials is 15 yuan an hour, and the minimum hourly wage in the U.S. is equal to 40 yuan per hour. Although the tax rates are different, you can get kind of a comparison there. But this factory worker that makes American Flags Nonstops earns 2,000 yuan per month, and that tends to get people in the West a little bit excited that our American flag has been made in China and still is currently being made there. More and more foreigners getting experience in Chinese firms simply because the Chinese firms have more capital to spend and more opportunities for foreigners to come and do the things that they want to do. There's a little bit of red tape to go through, but you're going to see more students coming here to do some exchange programs and to get the experience that they desire for their upcoming careers, because there's less of a path of resistance getting in and less competition in some cases. So another trend, co-op education in U.S. and China, and how that develops depends greatly on the relationship between the two governments, which we will also take a look at closely. And finally, e-shopping, e-commerce has really taken off the past year or two. This is the couple of years here where e-commerce has really become a staple, and really exciting numbers coming out of online retailers, much like it was in the 1990s, late 1990s in the United States. They're going through that right now. Everybody's buying online. Economic drivers, online shopping by Chinese residents has grown substantially. As you can see right here, there are more shoppers spending more money online, especially in rural areas. And this is a growing trend. It is more economical to shop online, more convenient, and as consumers become more sophisticated, they're going to most likely have the largest e-commerce base in the world if they can sustain their growth. On a side note, what I want to point out is that there are a couple of small business ideas and a couple of areas where you can see some significant growth in the next couple of years. One of them is in the area of food production, bakeries. Bread shops are going wild here. They're just really growing in popularity, and the business is great, especially for the chains like Cafe 85 and Paris Baguette. Those are doing great. Bread Talk also, there are several of them, and the retail side of it, they're really doing exceptionally well. There's another area that is growing that you should take a look at if you're interested in opening either an online business or some kind of import-export, brick and mortar shop even, is outdoor equipment. Outdoor camping equipment, rugged equipment, things of that nature. Chinese now are in love with that. They like that outdoor rugged spirit, because most people live in cities. They don't have a chance really to go out and see the countryside and camp and do things like climb mountains and swim and fish and that kind of thing. So they're starting to spend their extra money in that direction, more leisure and more outdoor activities. And there are certainly a lot more outdoor camping and sporting shops here than there was just several years ago. So just some ideas on what we could see as trends in the retail sector. So that's all for China News. See you next time.